I am frequently asked why, if we as Unitarian Universalists are a non creedal pluralistic faith tradition that has expanded beyond our traditional Judeo Christian origins, do I make a point of observing Easter every year? My response is that Easter is an opportunity for us to remind ourselves why we are here, what it is we are doing, and recommit ourselves to the important work that it is that we seek to accomplish here in the world. We gather this Easter morning not to affirm a single narrative of resurrection, but to celebrate the many ways that life renews itself, and how we in community can be agents of hope and renewal for each other. Easter is a time of transformation, a time when we consider not only the changes in the natural world, the blooming of flowers, the return of birdsong, the warming of the earth, but also the changes within ourselves and our communities. Today, we reflect on a story from the Gospel of Luke, the story of the journey to Emmaus. It is a story of grief, uncertainty, and ultimately recognition. It is a story that invites us to consider how we journey through our own lives, who travels with us, and how we might, in turn, be companions to one another on their paths. As we explore this narrative, let us ask ourselves, how do we find meaning in times of sorrow? How do we recognize the sacred in our everyday encounters? And how do we become bearers of hope to one another? The story of the journey to Emmaus tells of two disciples, lost in grief, unable to recognize the presence of the sacred in their midst. They are joined by a stranger who listens to them, travels with them, and ultimately reveals a deeper truth in the sharing of a meal. There's something deeply human about this story. It is not a moment of triumph, but one of loss, doubt, and confusion. Two travelers, broken hearted by the execution of Jesus, travel along a lonely road, trying to make sense of their shattered hopes. They do not recognize the stranger who joins them. How often have we been those travelers? In times of loss, disappointment, or uncertainty, we too journey along our own roads to Emmaus, searching for meaning. We wonder if our hopes have been in vain, if our dreams have dissolved into the dust of the path beneath us. The journey can feel endless, and the answers we seek may seem impossibly distant. Yet, this story tells us something vital. We are not alone. Even when we cannot see it, even when despair obscures our vision, we are accompanied. Not always by a miraculous presence, but by each other. The human experience is one of interconnectedness, of shared joys and sorrows, of hands reaching out in times of need. The disciples in this story are caught in their grief. They cannot see beyond their own sorrow, their own dashed hopes. They are so consumed by what they have lost that they do not recognize the presence of a friend beside them. How often do we do the same? How often do we miss the comfort and wisdom that is available to us because we are too focused on our pain? It is not until the disciples pause, invite the stranger to share a meal, and break bread together that their eyes are opened. In that simple act of hospitality and connection, they suddenly understand they are not alone. They never were. This is the heart of Easter, not a supernatural event that happened long ago, but the ever present possibility of renewal through love and relationship. It is the reminder that life continues, that hope is reborn not through miracles, but through the simple, everyday acts of kindness and companionship that sustain us. Imagine what the world might look like if we lived with this awareness. If we recognized in each encounter the possibility of connection, if we walked alongside one another with curiosity and compassion, if we opened our hearts and homes as those disciples did to the stranger, the seeker, the one in need of warmth and welcome. We may not believe in a literal resurrection, but we can believe in the ways we lift each other up, bringing each other back to life after despair. We can be the presence of love for one another on the road. We can be for each other what Jesus was for those disciples: listeners, companions, reminders that hope is not dead. How necessary is that message? How desperately do we need to hear words like these from someone right now? Think about a time in your life when you were struggling, when you felt lost or hopeless. Who showed up for you? Who walked beside you? Who listened without judgment? Who offered a hand? Who reminded you that you were not alone? These moments of connection are the real miracles of our lives. They are the moments that sustain us, that bring us back to ourselves, that allow us to move forward even when the road is uncertain. Easter, in this light, is not about what happened to one person thousands of years ago, but about what happens to all of us when we embrace the power of community, when we recognize that renewal comes through love, through care, through sharing our journeys. It is about seeing the sacred in the everyday, about recognizing that each of us has the power to be a source of hope and healing for one another. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we affirm the worth and dignity of every person, the interconnected web of existence, and the power of love to transform lives. Love is at the center of everything that we do. This story of the road to Emmaus is a reflection of those values. It reminds us that we are part of something greater than ourselves. It calls us to be present, to be open, to be willing to walk with others in their moments of need. So as we walk our own roads, let us remember we are never alone. And when we encounter others who are struggling, let us be the ones who listen, who travel beside them, who remind them that life and hope are still unfolding. Let us break bread together, not just in the literal sense, but in all the ways that we nourish and sustain each other. Let us be the companions, the friends, the fellow travelers who make the road less lonely. Let us be the presence of love in a world that is too often fractured and weary. This is our Easter message, not one of distant miracles, but of the very real and present miracle of human connection. May we go forth today knowing that every step we take, we do not take alone. May we be bread for one another, light for one another, and in the breaking of every barrier, may we see the sacred in our midst. May we be reminded again and again that love is our greatest teacher, our greatest healer, and our greatest hope. May we cause it to be so. Blessed be. Amen. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste.